It's a Spanish term that basically says without seed. It was seedless. So the weight of a pound of marijuana from up north was actually a pound of smokable marijuana because you didn't have to separate the seeds from it like you did from Jamaica, Mexico, Colombia, and Southeast Asia.
Are you for real?
Seeds account for a lot of weight.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was true with weight. The high was unlike anything anybody experienced. And it was a beautiful bud. It was a bud that people would take a bud of their marijuana, and when Christmas came along, they'd hang it on their Christmas trees like an ornament. It was that beautiful. They were 3 inches, 4 inches, 5 inches long. They were manicured. None of the bud that came up from Mexico or Panama or Colombia or Jamaica were manicured. It was beautiful. It was silver. It sparkled with frost. It had red hairs in it.
So
it was fresh.
It's like pine cones.
Exactly, my friend. Exactly. And it smelled outrageous. That's why they called it skunk.
Gotcha.
Skunk weed. Know? And so what those people did is they just took those seeds, they planted them up there in that area where just by hook or crook, they went to a beautiful place that had beautiful land and beautiful redwood trees, and the ocean was nearby. It was heaven on earth. There was not a lot of people. They wanted to smoke. They planted their seeds that they saved, and from that soil and those conditions came humble marijuana, California Cali weed, and that's where it came from. And another thing, too, I'll say, I don't want to forget, my friend, that term OG in the urban dictionary or urban slang or what have you. A lot of people think that stands for original gangster.
Dominic, go ahead and I want you to educate.
You ain't been doing the education.
It doesn't stand for original gangster. It stands for ocean grown.
What?
Come on, Dom. Is that what I mean? Come on, Dom.
I'm dead serious, my brother. OG does stand for original gangster. Absolutely. I'm OG, man. Anybody over 60 that's been in the life. Anybody over 60 that's hip. Anybody over 60 in the Bay Area or Cali or L.A. or New York or Dallas. Anybody that's that could be legitimately be called an OG. Right? Okay, but that term first came from. And then it was a patois. Patois being... how we take it, the English language, and we construct it to a region. Jamaicans have a patois, their accent. Yeah. It's English, but they've changed it. It's called patois. Just like the Cockney cats in England. They have that weird Cockney sound, or that's patois. Right. So OG means ocean grown. Because the marijuana that's grown near an ocean, like I mentioned earlier, ocean air, ocean fog, ocean coolness would come in at night and cool that weed down, and the sun would come up in the day, and it would just flourish. And so it was called OG. The more inland you grow marijuana, you get away. Let's say we grow marijuana in Colorado, outdoors now. I'm not talking indoors. Outdoor marijuana in Colorado, grown at an altitude at X, has that mountain air that's cool at night. Anytime you get into elevation, 2,000, 3,000 feet, you're going to get a cooler evening than you are at sea level. So that the plants like that ocean grown. They're ocean grown,
That's awesome insight.
So that's where OG came from, Matt, my brother.
We want to remind you to please like our Facebook page if you haven't already. When you join, you'll be able to receive weekly updated news and events, live video messages, and most importantly, you'll be able to interact with tons of people just like you. So go on that button on top of your Facebook page and give it a click, or interact with us on Instagram. Without each and every one of you, Tech This Out would not exist. We couldn't do it without you. Make sure to repost and share different things you see on our page. The more you share, the better. Be sure to watch previous shows on our YouTube channel, and please subscribe so that you can be notified when we post new content. We really want to connect and hear from you, so please don't hesitate to message us. And to find us online, please go to Tech This Out America on Facebook, Tech This Out on YouTube, Twitter, and all social media platforms. Get whole scope at checkthisoutnews.com. We connect the streets.
Now, speaking of that, and speaking of Cali, that's some amazing insight, Dominic. Tell me about California. Since they've legalized marijuana, what are they doing with the data? And now dispensaries collect data in terms of location, strands you purchase, and amounts. What is that about? I mean, some people might feel like, Big Brother's watching. Other people feel like it's just a natural progression because anytime you have a collection of people, you're going to be able to collect data. What are your thoughts on that?
And then whenever we can collect data on a certain amount of people, we can control them a little bit better, right? First and foremost, I was against legalization personally. Now, I get it. It needs to be legal on a lot of levels so that people with real medical needs, cancer patients, people that suffer from post-traumatic syndrome, people that suffer from a lot of different, problems, whether it's psychic or physical, marijuana is good for that. So more power on that level, the people that really need it. On the other hand, what I was opposed to was that once it's legalized and once government gets their hands on anything and they control it and they collect data from it, it's typically not long coming to where they start to regulate it. And when the government starts to regulate things, typically government fucks things up historically.
He's got a point.
So, point in case. Who says that in the future that, there's a lot of marijuana? I smoked some marijuana last night, and I'm going to go home in about 2 hours and smoke some more. That's about 24% THC. It's called banana sherbet. One of the parents of banana sherbet is sour diesel, which is probably one of the all-stars of strains. It's got 24% THC. Now, I could see a time possibly in the future where the government, being the regulatory fools like they are, neurotic about regulating people's shit, how much you eat, you can't smoke a cigarette, you can't do blah, 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 says, 24% THC is ridiculous. People don't need to be driving under the influence of any marijuana that's 24% THC. That's very strong. Our studies show that anything over 14% THC is dangerous for manipulating a car or going to work or whatever they decide to do. So therefore, all marijuana that's grown or sold in dispensaries now can't be more than 14% THC. So basically, they could be telling you and I, hey, brother, can't smoke that shit that's 24% THC. Why not, Mr. Government? Oh, because, it does this, that, and the other. Well, it really doesn't, Mr. Government, but too bad. We're the government. We have your name now through the dispensary, and we're telling you can't, and if you do, you'll be imprisoned or put in jail or fined or whatever they come up with. But the real kicker here, say, is this. I think, my personal opinion, is that it's all profit-driven, my brother. The American government could have legalized marijuana in the 20s. They could have legalized it in the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, and on and on. What did they do, man? They waited to 2015 or whatever they did, whatever it was right in there to do that. Look at the decades of taxes that they lost because of their stupidity and their ignorance and because of their controlling attitude about what's best for people. Instead of allowing grown people over the ages of 18 to make their decisions, we can certainly go off and fight in a war for them when we're 18 and lose our limbs or worse. But man, oh man, you cannot smoke any marijuana, Yeah. So, it just gets to the point where how much freedom is left in this country when the last bastion of the streets, man, marijuana was always of the people of the streets. It was underground, man. Now the government's got their hands in that. Now they're going to get into that scene. Pretty soon they're going to tell musicians, you can't hit a G flat because we don't like the way it sounds, so everything you play can't have a G flat in it. Well, fuck, the blues musicians would go out of business if they couldn't play a G flat.
So do you think it was better for you? You basically said you were against legalization, and I understand.
Oh, I'm against it. Absolutely, I'm against it because I know it's been my experience 69 years on this earth. From what I've seen, the assassinations of the Kennedys and Martin Luther King and Stokely Carmichael and John Lennon, the mindless wars in Vietnam, the bullshit that Trump's putting on people right now about, the press being the enemy of the people. This, that, and the other. The brown man being the problems of all America. The black man being this, that, and the other. Telling LeBron James to shut up and dribble. These people are fucking, they're so fucking controlling, they want to tell you what color socks to wear. And they'll do the same thing, more than likely, with marijuana. They're going to do something to it. They're already getting 23% tax, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but it's right in there. If I should go into a medical marijuana, I've just passed one up here in Oakland, as a matter of fact. It's called Bloom. If I was to go into Bloom right now and produce my driver's license, they take that information down, like you said, because they're monitoring. They let me in, and the first thing they ask me is it recreational or medicinal? And I go to myself, well, it's recreational. Being an honest man like I am, I'm not using it for anything medicinally. Thank the Lord. I'm healthy. I'm using it for recreation, what they call recreation. They should call it spiritual, but, we'll let them say recreation. I go, recreation. Did you know that if you buy it medicinally, it's 23% tax on top of the marijuana? But if you buy it recreationally, it's 37%. Now, that makes me a little upset on a couple of levels. Number one, it makes my pocketbook a bit lighter. And number two, the people that need it the most cannot afford it. The people that need it the most cannot afford it. Again, instead of busting people for smoking it, they're just making it economically, saying you can't smoke it and you can't smoke it because you can't afford it. The brothers on the streets, the white kids in colleges, where are they going to get this $70, $80, $90 to spend on an eighth of marijuana, man? I could smoke up an eighth in one evening. Now, go to the black market, which is still very healthy, very healthy. Go to the black market to your local guy, your brother down the street, or your, a friend of yours that you've known all your life that happens to still be in the life, and he's got a couple of pounds. He knows somebody up in Humboldt that grows it. He goes up there once a month. He parties for a weekend up there. He goes to a Jamaican concert, a reggae on the river concert at Russian River. He brings back a pound of pot to Oakland. He calls up some of his friends. Oh, yeah, I want an ounce. I want an ounce. I want it. How much is it? It's $150, no tax. How much is an ounce at a dispensary? The same ounce? $350. The black market's still at $1.50, $1.40. Same weed. Now, who would you rather shop with?
See,
you want to pay, So, it comes down to that, my man. That's why, I don't like giving my name to any government regular. They already got my driver's license, my birth certificate, my social security number. They got my address. They got my social security, the whole thing. Now they want to find out what I'm smoking, where I'm smoking, and how much I'm smoking. I only see evil and dark things coming from that in the future, perhaps.
Well, we got to continue this conversation, Dom, a little bit. We got some real things to ponder. I know this is not going to be the last time we get it in like this, but I have to thank you, man. You know what I mean? For this.
I thank you very much for having me with you and talking about this subject, man. I feel your warmth and I could feel your eyes smiling, and thank you for your radio hospitality over the airwaves, so to speak. Thank you very much, man, and anytime, any place, anywhere, man, my brother, just hit me up and we'll continue.
We're just getting started. Dominic, thank you so much for the insight. Another lesson in Marijuana 101, huh?
Later, Jose. Have a good one, brother.
All right. Peace, bro.
Later.
Check this out, America.
We connect the streets.